Hi, I'm Niles. This is Mikey. You're watching Neighborhood Sports Talk. All right, Mikey. So, we're going to talk about the NFL a little bit today. We got a couple things to touch up on real quick, and then we want to jump into. We got the final week of the season coming up in just 2 or 3 days here, and so playoffs are right around the corner. We're going to get to that real quickly, but first, the breaking news is Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly in Philadelphia, he's finally out. What do you think about this? Do you think that's the right move for the Eagles? Do you think that it should have been done sooner? Do you think he should have had a little more time? I mean, just overall, what do you think when you found that out? What was your thought process about that?
I personally think Chip Kelly is a good football coach.
Okay.
I think he proved that when he was at Oregon. But he may be one of those coaches. He may be like a Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. You know who Nick Saban?
Absolutely,
at
yes.
Alabama. No success in the NFL, but a legend.
But one of the
college
greatest college players or coaches, I should say, of all time.
And we might see that unfold with Chip Kelly because I do think he's a good football coach. But he had many flaws, and one of his biggest flaws was that he wanted to be the dictator. And I think that just totally turned the locker room off. That turned the locker room against him. So I think that's... And he didn't want to give up control of general manager positions when Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, asked him to. So he was a control freak, and that's what led to his demise.
Yeah, he made playoffs his first year. I think they lost in their first game.
They did. They lost to the Saints in the wild card.
Was it the Saints? Okay, yeah. So, he made it his first year. They didn't make it to the playoffs last year or this year. He gets fired. I'm all in favor of giving coaches time to work things out, but I feel like there's just something about it wasn't going to work for Chip Kelly in Philly. Sam Bradford wasn't doing anything for them. They got rid of LaShawn McCoy. Deshaun Jackson's gone. All these players that were there just a couple years ago are gone, and I don't know. Chip Kelly, I kind of agree with you there. I think he should go back to college, honestly. I just don't think his fast, trying to run the offense. He was trying to get snaps off all the time.
He was trying to make a college style offensive scheme work in the NFL, and that wasn't going to happen.
But it doesn't happen.
It worked his first year. But that's because nobody knew.
Exactly.
Nobody knew how to figure it out.
That's kind of like I always say that to people about Colin Kaepernick. He came out storming and he did great, but once defenses started to figure him out, it was like, oh shit.
Well, I also think that Harbaugh kind of
there was Harbaugh. They wanted him to become a pocket passer, They should have let him kind of be able to run whenever he wanted to. He let him have a run and gun style often, but it's still kind of similar. Once defenses started to figure out Kaepernick and his tendencies and how he ran, he started to be very ineffective.
The only difference between the two is that Harbaugh was able to. So
about Chip Kelly, the last thing is I just want to know, do you think he's going to get a job? Do you think he'll get hired by another NFL team, or do you think he's going to go back to the NCAA?
He wants to stay in the NFL, so I do think he'll be a head coach again. And I think I know which team he'll go to. I think he'll end up with Tennessee.
Perhaps, yeah.
They fired Ken Wisenhunt, and they're looking for a new head coach. And Chip Kelly made it very apparent that he wanted to trade up in last year's draft to get Marcus Mariota, his old quarterback from Oregon.
Yeah, that would be a really good fit for him right there.
And now Mariota's in Tennessee. I think if everything falls into place right, with Chip Kelly there, Tennessee could be dangerous.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would have to agree with that. Mariota's a great quarterback, great young quarterback. He's got a lot of promise. And if the
only concern with Mariota is keeping him healthy.
Absolutely, and I still don't really think that I'm still not really. I'm not a fan of the whole trying to do this whole college offense, this fast sprint, whatever they're doing over there. But if you're having the guy if you're having Mariota, him and Chip Kelly and Oregon together, you never know how that could work out. But But anyway, so playoffs. I really want to get into this because I'm really excited about the playoffs this year. I mean, my team's not in it. Neither is yours. But that's okay. That's okay. They don't have to be in it every year for it to still be a great time. No. What do you think of this? Is the first thing I want to talk about. What do you think of Cam Newton? Is he for real, or is Cam Newton not? I personally don't think that the Panthers are going to the Super Bowl or winning it. I don't think they're going to make it.
Well, I don't think Carolina will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl either, but that doesn't mean Cam Newton isn't for real. Okay. I think he is very for real. I think Carolina is not that far off from a Super Bowl berth. But I think now's not the time. I think, and a lot of people disagree with me, and rightfully so, because they haven't shown it in the second half of the season, but I do think Green Bay will ride the ship. I think when it comes down to it, Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to get back to the Super Bowl, and I'm actually picking Green Bay to win it all, despite their second half of the season.
Okay. I mean, the only thing I'm gonna rebuttal to that, though, I mean, because start of this year, I said Green Bay would be a dangerous team. I thought Green Bay was gonna probably be the team to represent the NFC as well. However, they've already played Carolina and Arizona, and the roads to the Super Bowl in the NFC is going to go through either of those two cities, yet to be determined.
Yeah, but both you and I know the regular season goes out the door once the postseason begins, and I think we're going to
sometimes.
I think we're going to see the best form of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in the postseason, better than the first half form, better than the 6-0 start form.
The Rodgers and the Packers have not been that great in the playoffs over the past couple of years, though.
They haven't.
They really haven't. But they've proven that they can do it before. We all know that Rodgers has won a Super Bowl. I personally think that goes a long way. I personally think that experience, even if you're having a bad season, we've seen it with Eli Manning. Both times Eli Manning won a Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure he was a wild card. They were a wild card team.
They were, and
I think they got in within. I think they clinched within the week before or 2 weeks before the playoffs started. So
yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, I have faith that he could do it. But I'm not so sold on him. I actually am personally liking, after seeing what they did to just that dismemberment by Arizona. They just I really
like Arizona.
I really like Arizona now. I really think Arizona could make a good push here. You know, Chris Johnson's been playing well for them. They still got Fitzgerald, who's still playing pretty well for them. Their defense. I mean, they don't got why am I drawing a blank on his name? Honey Badger.
Tyrann Mathieu.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. He's injured, but that defense is still great. Patrick Peterson. I like them. I do like Arizona to win this.
Right.
I think Arizona,
and rightfully so. They've proven themselves throughout this regular season.
And you know what? The thing about Arizona is they're a team that has that. You know, ever since Bruce Arians came to town, they have just been a dominant team. They missed the playoffs his first year there, I think it was, and they went 10-6.
Yeah,
and they
which is a representation of how tough the NFC was.
And they only missed it because at that time you still had Jim Harbaugh with the Niners and
Pete Carroll.
And you had Pete Carroll with the Seahawks. Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason they missed the playoffs, because you had those two teams that were that much better.
I want to touch on the NFC West for a minute. You have the Niners stumble this year. You had the Seahawks take a small stumble this year as well. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see this division return to prominence next year. I think that if you asked me a couple years ago, St. Louis was the fourth best team in the best division in football.
I think the Rams are... A lot of people count out the Rams. I never count out the Rams. I think the Rams are a very good team. I think they're just a team. They're just a team
in
that
a tough division.
They're in a tough division. They play. There's tough opponents, with the exception of the Niners this season. And of course, last season they struggled a little bit, but with the exception of the Niners this season, the Niners were very good for the past few years, and no doubt about Seattle winning the Super Bowl. Of course, Arizona obviously has been dominant the past few years. They just, like I said, I think there's just something. They're just having some bad luck, or something happens that where they're not getting to that next step. But I do like Arizona, and coming back to St. Louis. Sorry, but St. Louis is I do think Todd Gurley's proven himself to be just a premier running back for them. He's just
one of, if not the best in the league.
He is tearing it up this year. And if I don't remember. Again, I'm drawing a blank on this guy's name. Who's the one that replaced Nick Foles for them this year?
For the Rams?
Yeah.
Is it Case Keenum?
Was it Chase Keenum? Either way, I think I don't think Foles is going to be. I don't think Foles is a premier quarterback, though. That's the thing. So I know they traded their former first overall picks, Bradford, to get Nick Foles, but I don't really think Nick Foles was going to be the answer for them.
Well,
but
I think
St. Louis, good defense, good running team, good defense. They have the workings to be a very prominent threat in the league.
They do, and I think that a lot of people question Jeff Fisher, their head coach, St. Louis's owner. I'm drawing a total blank on his name, but St. Louis's
Today's
owner,
the day for drawing blanks, I swear.
St. Louis's owner knows exactly what he's doing, because he knows in any other division, St. Louis would probably be.
They could be a very premier team.
I'm a Cowboy fan. In the NFC East, St. Louis probably would have won that division this year. You could say that about a lot of divisions, especially the NFC East, though. So I think the fact that Jeff Fisher has been around so long is a testament to what's really going on, and I think we're not going to be waiting too much longer until we really see the extent of what St. Louis can do.
I'm going to move off of St. Louis for a minute here because, as we said, this is about the playoffs, and we're getting sidetracked here. They're not even in the playoffs. Good team, not in the playoffs. Let me ask you a couple good storylines here. I was thinking about this one. So the Bengals have already clinched the AFC North. If I remember, I think they're locked to be a number 3 seed with the Broncos beating them. I think the Broncos are a move ahead of them now.
Yes, they do.
But the Chiefs have a chance to win the division still, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
If I have it right, either Denver or Kansas City will end up with that advantage.
No, with the bye week. I think the Patriots will end up with the home field. But besides the point, they're locked in for the number 3 seed. So Cincinnati is going to have a playoff game, and they're going to be at home. Now, how many? 3, maybe 4 times? I don't remember. Andy Dalton never won a playoff game. 0-3. Maybe 0-4. I can't remember if there was a 4th year, but he's for sure. I know he's 0-3 in the playoffs.
I think he's 0-3.
Is it 0-3? He's lost every time in the wild card round, and every time they did not have a good game. And Andy Dalton did not play a good game. And Andy Dalton's been great this year. It's almost as if he took a two steps forward in his development process, and he was just a really, really good quarterback this year all around. Accurate passer. He was clutch at times when he needed him to be, but he goes down. A.J. McCarron is in. Inexperienced quarterback nonetheless, of course. He's pretty young, but with Andy Dalton not doing so good in the playoffs, does A.J. McCarron, does that kind of spark the Bengals? Does that give a new feel to the way that they play in the postseason? Does that get them this win? Does that get Marvin Lewis and the Bengals the win that they haven't been able to get over the past few years, having A.J. McCarron?
No.
Okay.
I think regardless of who is starting for them, we will see Cincinnati with another first-round exit. And these are just a couple of predictions I have for the playoffs. I do think we'll see Cincinnati with a first-round exit.
Cincinnati's going to play the Steelers or the Jets, right? Okay.
Both of which I think are more than capable of taking out Cincinnati.
Yes, I do too. Actually, I think I think if we're coming down to postseason play here, if you have Big Ben and that Steelers team, Steelers. I mean, you got Antonio Brown. I don't even need to say anything about Antonio Brown. The guy's a monster. I know they obviously don't have Le'Veon Bell, but D'Angelo Williams with the Pittsburgh.
He's done great for them.
Done great this year.
He's done great
just been tearing it up. I never would have thought in a million years that he would. I mean, in no disrespect to D'Angelo Williams, but you have an aging back, and he's coming to a new team. And he comes out there and he just it looks like he's their number one.
He picks up where he left off.
Basically,
he left
yeah,
Carolina.
yeah. And so I think you come into Cincinnati and you have a very, very experienced Pittsburgh Steelers team. Coach Tomlin already won a Super Bowl. He's been to another one with they lost Aaron Rodgers. And I just think that Big Ben is going to find a way to win. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is going to lose to A.J. McCarron. And I don't care how many weapons A.J. McCarron has that day. Whether A.J. Green's firing on all cylinders, whether their defense is playing, whether Atkins is playing lights out. I mean, it just...
I think history has a way of repeating itself, and I think, unfortunately, as much as I like Marvin Lewis, as I think he's a good coach, as much as I like Andy Dalton, as much as I think he's a good quarterback, I don't see Cincinnati being able to get over the hump this year. Don't be surprised if, again in the offseason, don't be surprised if we see Marvin Lewis lose his job.
I could see that.
And don't be surprised if we don't see him lose his job either.
I think, personally for me, it's kind of tough, because the Bengals first time ever 8-0. They start off 8-0, and they've had an impressive season for the most part. But when do you find, because I don't, if I'm the owner of a team, if my team goes 15-1 and loses their first game, goes 15-1, loses their first game, goes 15-1, and that goes on, eventually I'm going to tell the coach, like, I don't care
about the regular.
I don't care if you win 15 games in the regular season. I'd rather you win 9 games in the regular season and win me my Lombardi trophy. So,
and I think there comes a
so I could easily see that being hey, we did this good. Maybe this is the final year that they give him one more chance to make the big step. But I can also easily see this being the final straw. You're 0-4 in playoffs. You have 4 years to win one of these games, and you can't do it. You can't do it. So
I'm going to pose a question.
Okay.
If Cincinnati loses in the first round again this year, if you don't fire Marvin Lewis, when do you?
You should have last year. I mean, I don't know.
I agree. They should have last year. Marvin Lewis should have been out the door last year.
He should have been out the door, exactly. But Cincinnati. That's the thing. They gave him another chance. He comes back. They have a great season. They were division winners.
Cincinnati has Super Bowl talent. They have the talent to win a Super Bowl.
I think if they don't make it, if they don't win this first game, they need to win this game. If they don't win this game, Marvin Lewis should be fired.
He should be. That's not saying he will.
It's not saying he will, but he should be fired. And he should be fired just solely on the fact of what I just stated. It doesn't matter how good you do in the regular season. I mean, of course, yeah, that it's always nice and dandy with frosting and sugar on top to do good in the regular season. But we play this game to win the trophy, to win the Lombardi Trophy. That's why there's teams playing in the NFL week after week.
And
if he can't do that, then it's not even me trying to say that Marvin Lewis is a horrible coach. It has nothing to do with his coaching abilities or anything. I'm not even thinking about the past. Sometimes maybe they just need a fresh face there.
Absolutely,
he has been there for years before he even made the playoffs with Andy Dalton.
I think he was there for a good 9 years before they even had their first playoff berth.
He's been there for a long time. I mean, it's been, like 11 or 12 years? Something crazy. I think it's over 10 years now.
I've had a lot of conversations with my dad, and the situation that Marvin Lewis and the Cincinnati Bengals are in kind of reminds me of the New York Giants, because the only difference is Tom Coughlin has had playoff success. He's won 2 Super Bowls. But this is a team that is far from being contenders. And I think we can both agree on that. The New York Giants are not a good football team.
They're not even in the playoffs, though. So,
but this is.
I know you're a Cowboy fan.
This is a comparison.
You're a Cowboy fan. You got to take your shots at the. While I'm there, while I get it. Seattle. I don't like Seattle. All right. Seattle's losing their first game.
But let me finish. This is a comparison.
All right, go ahead.
I think that Cincinnati might be one of those teams, like the Giants, who don't fire their coaches.
Yeah.
They want to make it work with Marvin Lewis.
Yeah.
The players really like him. That's apparent. Because I think if the players didn't like him, he would have been out the door a long time ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the same with Tom Coughlin. If the players didn't like him, he would have been out the door. So I think we might see one of those teams in Cincinnati who they're trying to find the right keys on the field as opposed to in the front office. But then again, that may just keep them from a Lombardi trophy even longer.
I want to move off of Cincinnati, of course. I don't want to spend too long on each team here because we're working on 20 minutes already, and I want to be able to talk about a couple more teams here. All right, so another team in the playoffs that we mentioned, the Broncos. Another storyline here. Brock Osweiler. No more Peyton Manning. You got Brock Osweiler taking over. He's been playing pretty good. He's been playing some pretty good football. I mean, I gotta say, I think he's been playing great football. You know, he went out. They beat the Bengals, of course. They're probably going to end up being the number two seed. Of course, as we mentioned, the Kansas City can easily take that spot. But the Broncos control their own destiny, and win gets them a bye week. It gets them a home game, their first game. How do you feel about Brock Osweiler? Do you think that his inexperience, do you think he cracks under that playoff pressure? Do you think he gets it done? What's your thoughts about him?
I think it's time to shut the door on Peyton Manning. And I think it's time to give this
team. I do too. Yeah,
I think it's time to give this team up to Brock Osweiler and see what he can do in the postseason.
I think it's time for Peyton Manning to retire. Peyton Manning needs to retire.
I thought he should have retired.
You've had an illustrious career. I've always been a huge critic of Peyton Manning, and I was never a huge Peyton Manning fan.
I've always been a big Peyton Manning fan.
I've actually never really been a big Peyton Manning fan. But this is just this is all based on facts. This is my opinion aside. He'll go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Probably the greatest regular season quarterback of all time. Wasn't always quite the best in the playoffs. So that begs the question: without Peyton Manning, and not trying to take it away from Peyton Manning, but the facts show that he has not been the greatest postseason quarterback. I mean,
far from
the greatest. He's for elite Hall of Fame quarterback. He'll be a first ballot Hall for elite Hall of Fame quarterbacks. He's probably one of the worst postseason quarterbacks of all time. I mean, so without Peyton Manning running that offense, I mean, it's kind of a toss up. You don't have Peyton Manning there, but you got Brock Osweiler who doesn't have a lot of experience. Personally, I think they win that first game. I'm going to say that I think they win that first game. Depending on who they play, of course. I mean, I might change my mind once I see who they're playing. I think if the Steelers make the playoffs, Steelers are going to beat the Bengals. I think the Steelers will, well, if they come out as a 6 seed, they'd have to play the Patriots anyway. So I do think the Steelers could take down the Broncos. I think Tom Brady will take out Brock Osweiler if they played. What do you think? Osweiler is going to get it done, or
Osweiler gets it done?
You think Osweiler gets it done? Glad we agree there. I think so too. They already have. Okay,
one thing I disagree with you though. I see Osweiler leading them to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that's not a trendy pick. That's a risky pick, but I think
is that your official pick for the Super Bowl? The Broncos
to represent the AFC, to represent the AFC.
Okay.
I think that we're going to see a similar story to we saw to, I believe it was the 2012 49ers when Alex Smith went down, except this time it's Peyton Manning. We see Colin Kaepernick step in, Brock Osweiler, and just light it up. I think we're going to see that this postseason.
And obviously, Brock Osweiler has in his favor, despite being inexperienced, never a bad thing to have a great defense, which he obviously has. Aren't the number one in total yards allowed per game? This is a defense that is just great.
This is a more complete Broncos team than the one that got blown out by the Seahawks.
Absolutely.
In Super Bowl 40.
Absolutely. And CJ Anderson, that's his biggest weakness, I think, is the lack of a running game in Denver. But you still got Demaryius Thomas. Right. You never know.
I say they give Ronnie Hillman more carries.
They should give Ronnie Hillman more carries. Yeah, they really should. And come from a Niner fan, Vernon Davis, he's over there now, but Vernon Davis has had some of his best games in the playoffs, and
he hasn't been reliable though.
He hasn't been reliable, but at the same time, I have to think to myself, does him coming back, does him being there in the playoffs, back in the playoffs with a new team, maybe he's more energized. Fresh blood. He's not getting thrown to by Colin Kaepernick. He's not dealing with Coach Harbaugh anymore. I mean, I think the Broncos has got some good things working for them right now.
Who's your pick to represent the AFC?
To represent the AFC right now, let me think about this really quickly here. It's not going to be the Jets. It is not going to be.
What about Pittsburgh?
If Pittsburgh makes it into the postseason, if Pittsburgh makes it into the postseason, I think the championship game will be Pittsburgh versus New England.
And if they don't?
And if Pittsburgh doesn't make it into the game, I think it's going to be. I think New England's going to win their first game. New England usually does, unless it's the Jets.
Tom Brady will be Tom Brady.
Tom Brady will be Tom Brady. They'll be in the AFC title game, but who will they play? I think Pittsburgh will make it to that title game to play then. And I would love to see. I would love to see a Roethlisberger versus Brady playoff game. Those are always fun to watch. But I don't know. To be honest, one part of me really wants to pick the Texans, but I just know that's not going to happen.
Don't sleep on Kansas City. They've won 9 straight games.
I don't want to pick Kansas City to win it. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Don't sleep on them.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. Kansas City represents.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it. I'm being biased. I am being a little biased here because I am a Niner fan and I miss Alex Smith. I am actually one of the few Niner fans that did not want Colin Kaepernick to take over for Alex Smith, and I was upset when we traded Alex Smith. And looking back a couple years later, boy was I right. So I'm totally going. I'm going to go for the Chiefs, and I want them to represent. But unbiasedly, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to probably like New England, Pittsburgh. Maybe the Broncos, but. Okay. I think New England and Pittsburgh. Now in the NFC, I want to switch gears here. We talked enough about the AFC. We did start off by talking about Cam Newton, and we talked a little bit about the Cardinals. We all know the Cardinals are a great team. We all know that the Panthers are a great team. Whether either of those teams will actually make it is yet to be determined. We talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. Your opinion is that Aaron Rodgers is going to light it up. He's going to come back to his old. I always say I always say it like Stephen A. Smith. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. He's a bad man, and he really is a bad man. And but he's human. He has a couple bad games. He had a bad game against Carolina, worst game of his career against the Arizona Cardinals. But Aaron Rodgers is a bad man, and I do think Aaron Rodgers can make it. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I know he can do it. I still don't think it's gonna get done this year.
Do you see him as a young Peyton Manning almost?
No.
As far as playoff success goes?
No.
Reminds me slightly of it. But go on.
No.
What were you going to say?
I don't want to compare him to Peyton Manning. But I see the point you're making, but I don't want to compare him to Peyton Manning. However, in the NFC, so let's see. The NFC is pretty much going to be a lock. So we're going to have, I'm just writing some little notes here. So we got Carolina's up here. You got Arizona up here. Okay. Now I'm just going to say, I'm just going to assume that Carolina ends up as the first seed and they end up as the second seed here. What are our playoff matchups? Now, it's going to come down to, I know it could. Okay, so Cincinnati. No, I'm sorry. Seattle is locked to be the number 5 seed, and so Seattle is right. Seattle. I think Seattle is locked to be number 5 seed.
I'm checking right now.
Okay, everything is clinched in the NFC. We got Carolina, Arizona, Seattle, Green Bay. Washington is
the only thing champion. That's not clinched is the NFC
North. So the only thing that can really happen is a couple seedings are going to be flip-flopped here. But in the NFC, the team that I actually would like to choose is the Vikings. It's a team that, again, I don't think is going to win it. But I like Adrian Peterson. I like the Vikings defense. I just think the Vikings are going to. I think the Vikings are. I don't know. They're not gonna. I don't think
so. As it stands right now in the NFC, we have Carolina as the 1st seed, Arizona as the 2nd seed, Green Bay as the 3rd seed, Washington as the 4th seed, Minnesota as the 5th seed, and Seattle as the 6th seed.
So if those stay exactly as they are,
it's going to be Green Bay. It'll be Green Bay
and Seattle, and I think Green Bay wins that game.
So do I, and Washington and Minnesota.
And I think Minnesota's going to take them out. Exactly.
And I'm going to enjoy watching.
Okay, and so when they take out Washington, this is exactly how it's. Green Bay will play Arizona. Green Bay will play Arizona, and Minnesota will play Carolina. And see, this is where I think Minnesota takes down Carolina. Calling it now. Minnesota takes down Carolina.
I would go. I think if the seedings remain the same,
but Arizona is going to take down Minnesota in the final game of the year. In the NFC Championship game.
See, I see it unfolding in the divisional round. I got Green Bay taking out Arizona, and I have Carolina taking out Minnesota, and then I got Green Bay taking out Carolina in the NFC Championship.
But you need Green Bay to take out two teams that have already beat them by 16 or more points.
They have, but as I said earlier, the postseason as a whole, it's another season. So I do think Green Bay will get it done this year.
All right. So let's do a little bit of a wrap up here. So final predictions here.
We've got one more thing to talk about there. Kind of going back to the off season. It was reported on.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was.
I didn't hear this report. I'm hearing this now for the first time from you.
It was reported on ESPN that the Colts are not going to retain their head coach Chuck Pagano after the season. And
to be honest, I disagree with it. I do.
So do I.
I disagree heavily with that because, you're looking at it. Okay, so Andrew Luck comes in his first year. Pagano, unfortunately, an unfortunate thing. Cancer. Bruce Arians took over, of course. And then they had a tremendous year under Bruce Arians. That's why he eventually got the head coaching job to become Arizona's coach. But Pagano, they get to the playoffs. They lose in their first game. To I think it was the Ravens that year. They lost their first game to the Ravens. The next year, they go to the divisional round. This time from game 1, led by Chuck Pagano, they get one round deeper in the playoffs. Okay, so they take one step forward. The next year, last year,
AFC
title game. They got blown out. I mean, okay, I'm not going to get into all this Deflategate
Still
stuff.
A step forward for Indianapolis.
It's still a step forward. You're in the AFC title game. You're one game from a Super Bowl. Okay? They take a step back this year. I don't think there's
huge.
They take okay, fine. Okay, yeah. Not. They take a huge step back. They miss playoffs completely. Injuries, just non-stop injuries. Andrew Luck cannot. That right there to me says it all. Your star quarterback goes down.
Well, besides him going down, he wasn't playing well to begin with,
and then he goes down.
So I think
that's. I mean, yeah. But the thing about him not playing well is he didn't play well for the first few games of the year,
he was injured,
and then he went down.
It was an injury that was never reported.
And then he goes down again. So even if he was healthy, every quarterback can have a couple bad games. I mean, look at Matthew Stafford here. He had a couple bad games. Ever since their bye week, a new coordinator, he's been killing it. Mm-hmm. He's been passing like the guy that should have been the first overall pick.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I completely agree with you. I just read right now actually that Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, has said he has not made a decision yet, but he is leaning towards not renewing Pagano's contract, which obviously would mean a new head coaching search would occur for.
And they might be in the hunt for a Chip Kelly,
Indianapolis.
But
I completely disagree.
I think it's a mistake. I think they should give Pagano at least one more year at the helm. You took a huge step backwards. Yeah, you fell flat on. He basically fell flat on their ass. Fell flat on his ass. Give him one chance to jump up and see what he can do when he leaps back up. But that might not happen. I think they should give him at least one more year, though. I don't think they should jump the gun on that. But of course, this is all sources and speculation. There could be a lot of things that we don't know. There could be internal things going on between the players and Pagano. There could be a lot of things that led to a decision like this. But
Who else is out there?
Yeah. My dad just said what other coaching candidates are out there that Jim Irsay potentially sees as a better fit for Indianapolis than Chuck Pagano.
Obviously, like we said, the first one that comes to mind is Chip Kelly. Just got fired.
Chip Kelly would not be.
I don't think that would be a good fit, though. Exactly. I don't think he'd be a good fit.
He'd be a great fit in Tennessee, not in Indianapolis.
But not with Andrew Luck. I'm not sure. Ken Wisenhunt apparently just got fired. You know who? There's a report that who wants to start coaching again. Specifically said that he would be open to coaching the 49ers is Mike Holmgren. So if Mike Holmgren was interested in coming back, obviously a very storied coach. I mean, I think that the thing about Indianapolis is that when you have a player like Andrew Luck, who was a first overall pick, not even 3-4 years ago, that's just, it's kind of like eye candy for a coach. You want to have a big star like that you get to mold, and that you want to have a face of your franchise. If you're a coach coming in there, you already got your prime quarterback right now. It's just like starting it's just like getting hired as a coach in the National Hockey League, and you already got a great goaltender.
Right.
When you already have a great piece in a team and you start building around that team and you're a coach and you can mold the team around.
Right. It's easier to have a superstar established when you...
Especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
100% the quarterback position.
And it's interesting that my dad brings up, what other coaching candidates are out there, because I've heard a lot about Bill Cowher wants to get back into coaching. And I've heard Mike Ditka even potentially wants to get back into coaching. He's a long shot.
Long shot, but hey, it could happen.
Hey.
It could happen. But, yeah, so, I mean...
Here's a long shot for you guys. Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh's not coming back. He's doing great in Michigan, and he's probably making a lot of more money at Michigan than he...
He'd be a perfect fit in Indianapolis, though.
I would love to see...
because he's reunited with Andrew Luck.
Yeah, that would be great to see Andrew Luck and Jim Harbaugh reunited. And then when Jim Harbaugh and Andrew Luck go and win like 2-3 straight Super Bowls, then us Niner fans can look at Jed York and laugh in his face.
I agree with you, though. I don't think he's going anywhere right now.
Yeah, no.
He's happy at Michigan.
He's happy in Michigan. He's happy in Michigan. He's making great money in Michigan, and he's just actually generating tremendous results in Michigan.
Maybe
so
if he wins a national championship, you might think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And to sum things up, we're going to give you our picks for Week 17. Jets at Bills. I got the Jets.
I'm taking the Bills.
Patriots.
I'm taking the Bills because I don't think Rex Ryan wants to tell his old team, you need to win to get into the playoffs. Well, basically kiss my ass. You're not getting in.
Patriots at Dolphins. I got the Patriots. Come on,
Patriots. They're going to win that. They're going to win that in the first quarter just to clinch the home field advantage.
Saints at Falcons. I got the Falcons at home.
Yeah, sure. I'll go with the Falcons.
Lions at Bears. I've got the Bears at home.
Start Matthew Stafford in my fantasy league, so I'm going to go with the Lions.
You'll still end up losing. Eagles at Giants. I've got the Giants at home.
I'm going to take the Giants as well.
Redskins at Cowboys. It hurts me to say it, but I've got the Redskins taking out Dallas.
It hurts me to say it, but I got the Cowboys taking out the Redskins. Just for you, buddy. Oh. Happy New Year.
Next up, we got the Rams at 49ers. I've got the Rams. I'm not going to throw you a bone. Sorry.
You know what? I love my Niners. Go Niners. Niners are going to win the last game of the year, and then we're going to get rid of Jim Tomsula and... No, we're not. We're not fixing any of that.
Titans at Colts. I've got the Colts winning their last game of the season.
I got the Colts winning it too.
Ravens at Bengals. I've got the Bengals.
I want the upset. I want the Ravens to win it.
Ravens. Steelers at Browns. I've got the Steelers demolishing Cleveland.
Is that even a fair question?
Yeah.
Steelers need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're going to crush the Browns.
Browns always play Steelers good, though.
They're going to beat them. They're going to beat them down.
You're right.
Fair point. Right. They do.
Records go out the door at that point.
Especially in these divisional games.
Jaguars at Texans. I've got the Texans.
Texans, of course.
Raiders at Chiefs. I got the Chiefs for their 10th straight win.
You'll almost never see me pick the Raiders. Chiefs.
Chargers at Broncos. I've got Brock Osweiler lighting up that Chargers defense.
Once again, playoffs hopes on the or sorry, not playoff hopes, but playoffs seeding on the line here. They want that bye week. They want to be number 2 seed. So the Broncos are going to come out firing. They're going to want to win that.
Bucks at Panthers. I've got the Panthers.
Oh boy, I just want to see the upset, but no, Panthers are going to win it.
Seahawks at Cardinals. I've got the Cardinals taking care of the Seahawks.
This will be a great game. This is going to be a great game. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the Cardinals. They're at home, so I'll take the Cardinals.
And the NFC North Championship game, Vikings at Packers. I've got
My Vikings.
I've got the Packers winning the NFC.
Taking the Vikings. I'm gonna take the Vikings. I've always liked Adrian Peterson.
They're playing in Green Bay?
Yeah.
We're playing in Green Bay, but hey, you know what? Rise to the occasion, Minnesota. You're going to win that game. Green Bay beat you earlier this year. It's your time to rise and win that division back from them. Go.
I think Minnesota's going to win that.
I got
Minnesota.
Green Bay.
All right.
Green Bay.
All right. All right. This concludes our first episode of Neighborhood Sports Talk. I'm Niles. This is Mikey. Thanks for watching.